All right, everybody, welcome to the Gamers Den. Another fun show. Me and Siren are holding down the fort.
Yeah, we are. What is up, people?
Trying to think of something good to start off with today.
I don't know about starting off, but I would love to pick your brain about some game questions.
Go for it.
Okay. So we are getting ready to do a summer camp, and we have 1 week of the summer camp that I have no idea what to do. So it's 5 weeks. We have 4 games, 4 collegiate games.
Okay.
And then the last week I was thinking, what if I did like behind the scenes stuff, some streaming stuff, some like make overlays, like little. I'm not really sure.
How old are the kids?
For like gamers, like student gamers, what do you think that they would want in the moving up in the world?
Well, how old are they?
High school.
High school.
Mm-hmm. I think the middle school's attached. Nope.
Okay.
Wait, is high school 9th grade still? I don't even know.
Yeah, I know.
It varies. It varies.
Right? It does. It varies. Okay. I don't know. It's 9th through 12th. Whatever that is
9th through 12th.
What it is.
It's supposed to be 9th through 12.
What you could do to make it really fun, well, it depends on how much funding you have. That's another thing.
What do you think?
So if you have some funding and are able, how many kids are there?
10 right now.
So if you take some of that funding and get each one of those kids the game Valheim, build a world in Valheim and have them live in that world
together.
That would be fun. Yes.
We haven't done world building. We're definitely doing obviously I love Overwatch.
Yeah.
But we're doing Overwatch because it's like Fortnite in that when you start the game, all of the characters have the same things. As in, you don't need to, it's not like COD or whatever. You don't need to level up your players. You don't need to level up your guns. There's no advantage to a gold gun. It's more like chess. It's more like the composition of your team, how your team plays. Mm-hmm. That matters more than your experience level in the game itself, which is why I love it so much. I did not. So to me, I'm thinking we need a Royale. We need a chess. We need can't even think of the word. There was another one. Sports. Sorry. And then I couldn't think of another game. That makes total sense though.
I would do
some kind of world building would be cool.
Because have you seen Valheim at all?
I've seen it. I've not played it. It looks gorgeous.
I mean, it's a lot. It is really Ark. It's a scaled down version of Ark. It doesn't go as far as Ark does because Ark goes all the way to guns and everything else. And you strap on. Intense. Yeah, Valheim is pretty intense because you have to, if it's nighttime and you get cold, you have to build a fire. Make sure that you got some wood.
I only have them during school hours.
Oh, that's perfect.
Do you think?
Oh yeah. So for example, if you have if you've got them during school hours, that's roughly about 5 hours, right?
Right.
So if you take at least 2 to 3 of those hours, or even less than that, really, but if you take some of that time and then have them all on the same server, because you build the world, you name your server, and you have them all join in, and they're actually going to be not only you'll see if they steal from each other. It could be interesting. You'll see because Valheim, you die a lot. You really do die.
That's something. What do you think about doing something like that throughout the whole thing?
Oh, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
Bless you.
Oh crap!
Allergy stuff again.
Because it would be really cool to see how many jump on and how many decide. Okay, well, I want to. I mean, because you do level up based on how well your character does. You know, if you if you run all the time, you're going to be faster.
Hey, Jacoby, I'm a little bit confused here because y'all just said school was 5 hours, and for some reason I thought I went to school way back in the Ice Ages from 8 to 3, which would have been like 8 hours. So when did they shorten school?
Well,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
I
just
guess it is
guessing because everything runs together now. So
Okay.
it's like 5 sounds like a good arbitrary number. I'm rolling with it.
Yeah, I did 8. That makes sense, though. Though, especially if they die often, I think we should maybe do it from the beginning.
It would be cool. It would be really
Like,
cool because
start it off that way, so they build together all the way to the end, and it'd be like a culmination, maybe.
yeah, because you could see what happens. You just start the game. Um,
Cool. There's a fire in this game. This is
How long
dangerous.
does it take you though? Like how far can they really get as a group in say 2
they can get
weeks?
pretty far.
Can they?
They can get pretty far. I haven't played it that often. I played it a couple of hours, but yeah, you build your own world, create a new world. You start it off, and you will see some neat things. You will see like trolls will be there, and you'll understand that okay, well, my level isn't high enough to be the troll, but if I get a couple of friends, so now you have that communication happening. Then on top of that, you go into different caves, and those caves have different beings that you have to deal with there in those caves.
So this is kind of like a live version of Minecraft.
It's more. I mean, the kids will enjoy it more because of the actual age range that it'll hit.
Right.
It is like Minecraft because you're building. It is a harvester, a builder. So, yeah, I mean, they should enjoy it. Like right now, it's raining, and I found this random house. So because it's raining, I didn't. It'll tell you that
Did
you
you
get
make
wet
alliances
when you go
and
outside.
stuff on here?
Then you have. Oh, let me see if I can turn it up.
We need volume.
Do you make alliances with people and stuff on here?
Yep. You can make alliance. And the thing is, it's not that you make alliance and it says this is your friend.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just been playing in this solo world. This is only me in this world. But if I add more people, then again, you can make alliances. You can it's kind of like you, Mark, and I. We're sitting here as an alliance. However, it doesn't pop up above my head that it says we're friends.
Right.
So it's kind of like that in Valheim, where okay,
Have
you can build
Rust?
a little area together if you want to, or you can run around and steal from other people that you see, or you can if you see somebody hunting, you can scare away their deer. Like there's a deer right there that I could sneak up on.
Have you played Rust?
Yep. There's another version of that type of game.
Okay. Do you lose everything when you die in
Yep.
this?
Yeah, and it sucks because if you die in like a cave and there are some skeletons or whatever beings in that cave and you have to go back down and get your stuff, you can die again at the same spot. Oh, and it sucks trying to hunt that stuff down.
So multiple deaths.
Yep. Okay. But I would assume that going as a group would make it a lot easier.
Yeah,
so is this a group exercise you're doing, Siren, or is this like a school Olympics?
We got a contract for a summer school, an esports summer school at a private school actually in Virginia, just north of you guys. So we're trying to figure out that final week what kind of curriculum we wanted to do because we had 4 weeks of curriculum, not 5. And they want to do 5. So I was asking Jatobi if he had any ideas on a game or something that would work well for and that's why when you came in, he was asking like, what's the age group for these kids?
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, this game I would definitely recommend if you've got the funding because it's a $19 game.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get all 10 of the kids this game, have them take it home, you can continue that conversation with the kids and you're not still in that camp, so you keep that connection.
Right.
But yeah.
Hey, Jacoby, quick question for you just that popped into my head. Are you excited? Because your baseball season is it started, but it's about to start for you next week. So it's time for you to start calling games on the field again. So are you excited now that we've got baseball coming back?
Oh, Jacoby.
Am I excited? Sure. I guess.
Who is it excited to ump? You're
there's going to be no sleep.
No sleep again? Is that what it's going to be? No sleep again?
No sleep whatsoever.
You're all the things on the field. I love it.
But yeah, if you notice in the top right-hand corner, right beside the map, it says wet. So it tells me I have about a minute and 30 seconds till I'm dry. So it keeps up with that information, and this is stuff that your kids are going to have to deal with. Do they want to stay?
So random.
It is. It's wonderful.
A trip.
Sarah, just real quickly, just because I had this guest that I was going to try to bring on this week, but he's going to come on hopefully next week. But Jacoby, you're apparently very popular because I wrote to Vinny Smith, who is a parent, and he deals with parenting and gaming and all of that. He actually has a meetup group that deals with that. So I wrote to him on meetup.com. We can have all kinds of people on all kinds of issues and everything. And I asked him whether he could come on the show today. Well, so it said tomorrow at the time that I wrote the letter. And he wrote me back. He said, "Hi, Mark. Thanks for the invite. I'll be out of town tomorrow afternoon. But my son, Caleb, knows Jacoby quite well. Caleb mentioned to me that he thinks Jacoby does this weekly, and I believe I can make it next week. What time and where do you want me?"
Oh,
Caleb. He's probably one of the kids that jump into a few of the tournaments here and there, which is awesome. That's pretty cool. I'm trying to think of who it might be.
It's spelled Caleb, and he just says that he knows you well. This just his son Caleb, and so that would be Caleb Smith. I'm assuming since his name is Vinny Smith.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to. As you see, because I'm walking around and jumping and sprinting here and there. Now I just got to level up on that. So my abilities have gotten a little bit better.
I can't actually wait to talk to him. The more I think about that, the better that is. Because that's actually something we were looking at doing. We're trying to get contracts at the same private school for an actual esports program to stand up their program. And one of the things that I want to do is create a parent portal, basically, like some sort of, I don't know, group or whatever, where they can actually get educated by gamers, adult gamers, if they're interested, so that they can, at the very least, communicate with their children. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They don't necessarily have to play them, but we can teach them the basics of the games and teach them how to talk to the kids and explain why it means so much to them too sometimes. So I would love to talk to someone, a parent who's actually already a part of something similar to that. That's awesome. Because it sounds like he stood that up on his own, yeah?
Yeah. Look there, got a little ravine with some deer down there.
No, leave those deer alone.
Yeah, I gotta leave them alone. I'm gonna try and find something else. Because there's some trolls out here. Luckily, I haven't run across them. They chase you, and they're big.
Oh.
I mean, Valheim is definitely beautiful. My fear with these story mode is always that they're not going to be able to get far enough. Whoa, with it, or
so that goes into. So all that goes into, if you do it for a week, could eat another bite. I just noticed that. If you do it for like a week and you have your individuals playing for a couple hours, I mean, if you're looking at 3 hours at 5 days, that's 15 hours. You're going to be pretty deep into this game.
Yeah.
And it really, yes, there are parts of the game that they will never get to just by playing with you for that week. But because of the style of game it is, and that you're actually giving them a parting gift, they'll continue to play it. So they can take it home, log in to themselves, and continue to play what you've given them. And they're staying with you and Cedo Gaming the rest of the way because you've gifted that. And then you, as a person, could jump in and play with that group 5 months down the road just to see if anybody's playing. So that's why, I mean, I would highly recommend it. If you have the funding, I would highly recommend this or something like this. I mean, there's other games out there. There's Pixel. What is it? Pixel World. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No, I haven't. I knew about Rust, but I haven't heard about Pickle World.
Pixel World is
Pixel World.
Yep, Pixel World.
She's trying to make a pickle game.
I was like, I don't know pickle games, but I'm in.
Just because pickleball became a popular game, she's got pickles on her mind.
So
everything.
Pixel World is another MMO, and you can jump in and create your own servers and stuff. But there's just so many in-app purchases that's going to ruin the idea.
Yeah, I want to definitely stay away from that.
Yeah. But this one, of course, once you pay that $20, you're good to go. You just keep it.
Wow.
No,
very scenic atmosphere.
Yeah. So you get to travel everywhere.
Looks like it.
And different animals.
Do you receive objectives and stuff like you do in Minecraft?
You actually do in this game. There are objectives that I'm supposed to do where I'm supposed to go to different rooms, but as you see, I've barely opened much of the any of the map. So because I haven't opened up much of the map, I am just exploring and trying to figure out where everything is. Because if you watch all the blogs and you read all the blogs and watch the videos, you see people warning you of staying away from the forest because of the trees. Yeah. I haven't come across the trees that come after you, but
there's
I come across the trolls and I run.
So
it's wild. There's a lot of stuff in it.
So Jacoby, you're just like the characters in the horror movies. They tell you not to go down the basement, and you go down the basement anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jacoby's like, they come up there and they warn him. They're like, Jacoby, don't go into the ocean. There's a big shark. Jacoby's like, no problem. I got it. I'm going into the ocean.
I got bit. It's so weird.
Oh yeah, I'm going down there. I gotta explore, see what's down that way.
You want to go? You want to go visit the shark?
Oh yeah.
Thing out for sure.
Matter of fact, one of the guys watching the show right now said that he's put in like 120 hours in the first month.
Whoa!
Wow. Speaking of which, Jacoby, you had asked Sarah about the funding. So if anybody wanted to get into this wonderful world of esports or doing these tournaments and everything, how much would they need to have in their bank account, or like a rough estimate just for a beginner one? Let's say they don't want to get into a complicated one, because you had asked her about her budget. So what is the going budget?
Do you mean budget to run for one, or do you mean to join one?
For like an esport to run one, right?
Oh, to run one.
To run like an esports community, that varies. I mean, that's just a matter of getting a community of people just to follow you. You can create a Discord site or a Discord server, get people to join that Discord server, and then run away with it. But if you're looking at, okay, I want to create a giant LAN event and have people come play at the giant LAN event, that's where you're looking at a lot of money coming into play. For example, the events that I've done, the lowest end and the cheapest price that I've done it for was about $30,000, $30,000 to $35,000, and that's at a bare minimum cost.
I was gonna say that's got to be pretty bare bones at $30K. Mm-hmm.
And then even a step above that, the last one that I did was roughly for that was the one in the town of Cary. That one at a bare minimum, without some of the extra added ons, was roughly about $70,000.
That's what I was going to say.
So probably. If you're looking at the big time events, that's when the money comes into play. But if you're looking like, hey, I just want to get a community of people to come join and come play, start off creating a Discord server. Have your friends, have everybody you know join your Discord server. Get your Twitch running.
Yeah, you really don't need anything other than Google Docs. All they need is the ability to give you their scores and the ability to verify them, and then your budget would just be whatever you want to pay out in winnings.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that explains a lot because I did see some people on Twitch, and that's what it looked like they were doing was they built up some pretty sizable communities, but it looked like they were just local communities using Twitch and their network. Because I saw some people that were
Oh
doing
yeah.
all of uh, all of us and a couple of the other games like that on there.
Yeah, it's basically just like fantasy football. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Exactly. And it people have it's like computers. Computers themselves really aren't that hard to deal with. It's just that you're intimidated by the computer itself. In the gaming world, it's a lot of it
If you,
to begin with. The easy stuff you can do easy, but it's just intimidating to get started. So if you can just take that first step and get started, hey, look, let me jump into Discord. Let me jump into a few Discord servers,
Well,
figure out how they set it up, and understand and move.
I don't know
now,
that it's so intimidating to get started. I think one of the hardest things is for people is not getting discouraged when you only have the same amount of people for a month or two. That gets kind of hard.
Well, yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
There's always a plateau, especially if you're doing it by yourself. There's
Mhm.
always a plateau that when you're kind of getting your life in order and you're figuring more of the like behind the scenes stuff out, that you kind of plateau. And a lot of businesses in the sport community don't survive past that because it's
Gotcha.
tough and
That
there
makes sense.
is nothing tangible.
And for both of you, you talked about that you're doing this for a private school, and I know that we had a past couple of guests that were from the colleges and everything. Are there a lot of esports on the high school and grade school level? Because like, does Jordan have an esport team or Hillside? And for those that are listening, those are two high schools here in Durham, North Carolina. But definitely, is there a active high school and
No,
junior high esport community? And if not, why not?
no, no. So far as I'm aware, it's really now just starting to get hold in the universities. So we actually have a couple universities in Alabama that we're working with to get them set up and get them registered with the NECA and stuff like that. The reason that we're moving to the private schools and whatnot is because they're the ones that are actively looking to set up esports as a recruiting tool to get students into their schools, that maybe they wouldn't necessarily get with traditional scholarships. As in,
Gotcha.
I have a kid who's a super math nerd. Yeah, I can promise you that he's not getting a scholarship for track. Like, but he could get a scholarship for esports. So
Gotcha.
they're trying to use it as a recruiting tool to get a higher STEM score basically into their school. And then they're also wanting to roll that into a lot of the universities that you guys have up in Virginia. My husband is a VMI graduate,
Mhm.
and he's from Hampton, and so that whole area is kind of that whole state, that whole area is big in his heart. So
Yeah.
we have a couple things that we're trying to get the private schools connected with the universities, and once that starts happening in the private sector, it will start rolling over to the public. It's just unfortunately right now, with it being such a new, it's the wild west, it's a new economy, so there's no like certifications on who can teach, there's no like overdone or like overall curriculum that's been approved by educators or anything like that, so it makes it a little bit more complicated for these educational institutions to decide, how can I say that this person is qualified to teach at my university, if that makes sense. I think that makes it complicated. Or UC Irvine is doing a whole lot actually with the certifications and whatnot. They actually have a couple esport coaching and esport whatever certs that they've created alongside. I'm pretty sure one of the heads over at Blizzard or Activision, I can't remember which one, teaches on staff there. They've also done it in conjunction with Epic,
Hmm.
two of the bigger video games companies. So they are at least attempting to create some sort of certification for educators in esports so that they can actually have people on staff at these universities and say, yes, we can teach esports with confidence, and the university can stand behind them with confidence because they have a degree. So it's slow rolling, but it's all for, you know how shit rolls.
Yep.
So
Slow rolling.
But we
Could,
also also one of the things that people get stuck in is just focusing so heavily on what esports is, and instead of what other things that it touches.
yeah,
And that's where I think a lot of the educational value really kicks in and comes into play, because
correct.
a lot of these people in these college and high school programs, they are they're into programming, and they teach people about coding, and same thing with art stuff. I mean,
Yep.
graphics design, and
Yep.
those are the things that I guess, as if we were talking to a parent or talking to a child, is get them to recognize that, okay, video games is one thing, but can you learn how to create a particle effect the way that is happening on screen right now, and
Oh yeah,
put
they got
that
to
in
learn
maybe
motion physics. They've
you
had to
got it.
learn kinetic energy. They've got to learn like pendulum swings, how the flow and ebb of water and waves work. I mean, in order to do any kind of realistic graphic design, all of those things have to be present for the artist.
Yep.
And that is right there is exactly the reason why the private schools are trying to use this as a tool to get those kids in, because there's a lot of kids that are showing as many kids as there are showing promise at 14 to play these games. You would not believe the amount of talent we have seen in these designers and in these kids that are 15, 16 years old. I mean, they're young, and their coding is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And these private schools are doing anything and everything they can to kind of recruit them, and this is a fantastic tool to do it. And I'll tell you, it has hands down been the easiest sell. I thought it was going to be super hard to sell these like tiger moms on esports at a private school, but the moment they realize what it is, hey, your kid can get a scholarship to UC Irvine playing on an esports team here in Virginia with us, and we can get you into that. We can get you registered with NECA. We can get you involved in that. We can get you in touch with those coaches, because it's a small world right now. We have that ability. Like, take advantage of it. Parents are there. They're like, oh, you mean you can get my kid interested in physics because he likes drawing? Like, I'm in.
So I had a discussion. Well, my sister has a show called BPS, and she does her show every Wednesday. And she's out in California. Ooh, the fire went out. Okay, it's back on.
You feel cold.
She's out in California, and they had me on their show last night. And they were discussing about the educational things they were curious about, the educational things or pieces to a video game, such as Fortnite and stuff like that. But that's the stuff, again, just like you were talking to those tiger moms and getting them to see that there is so much in a game that has an educational value.
And strong educational values.
And this is what
any way that you can get through to those kids is huge.
And that's and that's what I tried to get them to understand, is one parent said that, oh, well, Fortnite doesn't really have educational value. Well, think about city planning and architecture.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, because as you were saying that, Jacoby, I was just thinking to myself that even here in our local area, whether it's Durham or whether it's Wake County, it seems to me that the school boards should be jumping on esports, because I know that they've been really big on some of these initiatives around robotics and some of these initiatives around aerodynamics and flight training and things of that nature. But it seems that there are esports equivalents for both of those, and therefore they would fit in neatly with both of those programs that are existing here in this area that get a lot of attention.
Yeah. Well, and Toby, I know for a fact, because I used to work in the civil engineering squadron. They used Minecraft often. Adults. And they're like, wait, let's see what the weight would be. Let me calculate it by blocks, because it's a lot easier to visualize it when it's literal blocks of shit. when you're doing your math and stuff. So a lot of times they would just lay it out as opposed to doing it physically like they used to do, where they would like Lego block them. They were doing them on Minecraft. Like, to say that, you're 100% right. To say that these games can't be utilized in very real ways is ignorance. I mean, the professionals are using them.
Mm-hmm. They really are. And just as one of the other viewer noticed, he said, I've noticed that kids that are used to video games pick up 3D modeling programs like Blender a lot faster. And he pointed out as well, specifically Minecraft. It's huge. I mean, if you think about the industries or the markets and industries that that are of the future, I mean, 3D modeling is everything in city planning. 3D in architecture, in
civil engineering,
even in medicine, we saw it with the research in COVID and the research in DNA and a lot of other stuff is using 3D modeling.
Yeah.
And so, parents, I think we have to come off of the idea of the get off my lawn old style and understand that this is what our kids are speaking in. We have to take Footloose as an education movie,
right?
And not as
the biggest thing is they have two worlds they live in. They've got one foot in our world and 1 foot in another world, a literal other world, and that's okay because, to be fair, like, we built those worlds, we raised them in them. It's a little messed up that we're upset that they like them. Like, in my mind, it's the millennials who programmed it. We're the ones who did all this crap. You know what I mean? And now we're angry that the kids only live in these worlds. Well, now we have to accept that. That's part of it. Now they've got a different part of their social hierarchy, of their culture, of everything. There's two parts now, and if we really want to understand and we want to be a part of it, then we have to grow into that world as well.
Yep.
No, having the two nephews, I love when the kids are in this world and they sometimes will, like I told you, Toby, play Roadblock and a couple of other games that they love on a regular basis while they're at the house and everything, visiting my mom, their grandma, or a number of other people that they might be out and about visiting. Now, I do sometimes get worried when they're sitting there just too absorbed in the game and all of that. But I mean, we used to be too absorbed in TV as well, so we can't say anything about that. But there are times I'm sitting there going like,
the way that I see that is like how overly absorbed I used to be playing softball.
Right.
There are some days that you just get a good, you got a good arm, you got a good swing, and you're just going to keep throwing it because somehow I hit that sweet spot and it keeps coming back to me.
Mm-hmm.
You just get sucked in because for them, that is the sport. For them, they are honing specific skills. And to be fair, at least in the brain, psychologically or physiologically, the same shit lights up. I mean, their hand-eye coordination is being sharpened. Their muscle memory is being sharpened. Their neuronic pathways are being heightened and reinforced on a lot of those. So, I mean, these are legitimate things that are happening to their brains physiologically that happen when you do sports, regular sports. So we are reinforcing their, social hierarchies and their cultural, norms and all of that as well. I mean, they're definitely still growing in the same way. So, I mean, I would say that as zoomed in as your nephews were, they were doing a lot of the same things that we used to do when we were kids in sports,
Mm-hmm.
What I like to think of it as, if you think about it, especially if you take this analogy, Mark, if you think about we can talk over certain songs. Right. We can go to in concert and sit there and chit chat all we want to over certain songs. Right. But there are some that we get caught up in and we're singing along to the music and don't care what's around us. That's the same thing with a video game and some kids really getting into that game.
Right.
What in the what?
Yeah, what is he fighting?
So you have different creatures. Oh,
tree thing.
The
is
tree
that
talks?
One of the trees?
No, that wasn't one of the trees. That was what are they called? I always forget the name of them.
A sludge monster. Gross.
I like that name. Let's go with that one, Aaron. It was a sludge monster.
But yeah, they come up, so I have to destroy them. Here's a fur. I got to take this down.
Oh, you got to take the fur down. The fur didn't do anything to you.
Well, I need the wood.
Okay. We'll take the wood.
Fine, I guess we'll let you be a lumberjack.
Yep, gotta harvest. As long as I keep harvesting, making sure I got my materials. Because at some point I gotta build a house over here and I can create a raft and I can go out on the ocean.
That's cool.
There's one problem with that, Jatovi. You said that you cut down the fur because you needed. You said you cut down the fur because you needed the wood, right?
Yep.
Then why don't you have the wood in your hand?
Oh.
It's in my pack.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
There's Siren. I don't know if you've ever watched Viva La Dirt on YouTube. So if you get a chance, Viva La Dirt does a lot of poking fun at video games. And one of the things that they poke fun at is actually what you just talked about, Mark. How I'm picking up different things and I don't have them.
Right.
They do spoofs on video games, talking about the crazy things that happen. They did one in terms of first-person shooters, and it's mainly poking fun at like Call of Duty and your other ones out there, where you're sneaking, and the NPC or the non-playable character or your opponent is supposed to see you. You are sneaking in their view, but they do nothing.
Yeah.
And you can toss a rock the other way. Whoa, what was that?
Because you're sneaking, though.
Yeah.
You're sneaking.
So they poke fun at that, and it's hilarious. They do the same thing with Dark Souls. Dark Souls, Mark, is one of the toughest games.
The hardest game. Yeah, it's probably the hardest game. I think everybody would agree.
Yes, that game is so frustrating because
it is impossible.
You sit there, you can level up all you want, and your character is like dominant and ready to go, and you make one mistake and you're dead. Now you got to start all the way over.
Oh God, Dark Souls is the worst.
Oh, so frustrating. But they poke fun at that.
Is it? It's got to be the same as us. It had the whole video's just got to be. This game sucks. Like, why?
They do such a great job at all the itty bitty pieces of the gaming industry. They poke fun a whole lot at PUBG.
Yeah, I still haven't played PUBG.
Speaking of smart people and things that go on that are not all that great, I was wondering if what both of y'all, and I'm switching topics here, but what both of y'all thought about the Morehouse College debate, because they got really tired of people being racist on the competition. So I think there were some racist comments that were made. So they basically pulled out. They said, "Look, we don't have to put up with this." And there was some great movies, including The Debate, I think it was called, that talked about HBCUs and their debate teams and all of that. But definitely, this happened just this past few days ago.
That Howard pulled out of a
the Morehouse College debate team has experienced much success over the years. It was a finalist in the 2015 United States Universities Debating Championships, which is the national championship for the British parliamentary style of debate. And it's made up of a team of senior Daniel Edwards and sophomore Caleb Strickland. Its A team had won tournaments at Vanderbilt. The Social Justices Debates National Championship reached the finals of the Western States Debating Championships. But at the Penn US UDC 2021 earlier last month, Edwards and Strickland were subjected to racist taunts from opposing teams and felt compelled to withdraw from the tournament. And they said it would be a mistake to say that this was just about one round and one team, said Morehouse debate coach Kenneth Newby. It was about anti-blackness issues within the British parliamentary debate space.
If I remember, that there was a soccer team that had said this similar thing about it was one club soccer team that had petitioned, I think it was MLS or somewhere, just recently about their player being taunted. I'm trying to remember if I can. I'm gonna have to pull up that article. Hey, there's a house.
I don't know. My 2 cents is that's absolutely idiotic.
I would agree. It says the incident that ignited this decision took place during round 5 of the U.S. UDC when Morehouse was mocked by members of rival debate teams, including students from the University of Hawaii. Other teams were turning their cameras on during Morehouse's speaking time, which was not allowed given the virtual format of the debate. They laughed and rolled their eyes at the Morehouse team when the members spoke, even using a racist character of one of the students' voice when asking them questions. The breaking point came as the judges for the round dismissed the arguments of the Morehouse team and awarded points to the other school. The topic that was being debated was known as narrative gentrification. Morehouse believed that its arguments were not being heard as a result of the students' origins.
Hmm. I don't know. It sounds like a hissy fit to me. I don't know. I feel like if we stopped every single time that someone didn't like us, we wouldn't get very far. If we stopped every single time someone made fun of us and talked shit on our race or made us into caricatures, then we probably wouldn't get very far. 9 times out of 10, the reason that we've gotten to where we are is because the people that came before us didn't care. Like, fine, you want to be crappy to me? That's fine. I'm still gonna sit here and I'm still gonna wait for my burger. Like, I just
I think
this restaurant just like you. I'll wait my turn.
So I
don't
think
know.
I think what happened with
weird.
No, don't kill me. I think there's a difference though, because I think it wasn't that people didn't stop. I think it was that people fought back, and I think that's the difference. Because take for instance, with the sit-ins at the different places, it wasn't that they didn't care. It was that they led to protests and marches and a whole bunch of other things. So people fought back against it and made it understandable that this was unacceptable. And
that's what just happened. I think that by them staying there as long as they did, everything that you read in that article just goes to show how stupid they are. How stupid the team was. Oh no.
Yeah.
I was trying to get by him. Now I got to figure out where I am on the map.
And just to wrap up a little bit of that conversation, but the Spelman debate coach was saying that the decision to withdraw by Morehouse was a long time coming and was a step that someone had to take. It speaks to a larger problem that Black people face when navigating white spaces, he said. I don't want you to think this is an isolated experience, according to Brown, but when white people get in this space, apparently they were saying that they do some microaggression. Yeah, they were saying that they microaggress Black people.
So I think
everybody microaggresses everyone, especially. I mean, I used to be on a debate team. We did the Lincoln Douglas, though. We didn't do the British version. Right. But it's intense. We're taught to be intense. We're a debate team. We're literally taught to argue with people.
Yeah, but we have to remember that we cannot cross the line between argument and insults, and I think that's the line that may have crossed and pushed Howard away. And I think when that line got crossed, walking out was the best thing instead of becoming argumentative, because you're seeing, especially in the Black Americans, if a guy is yelling back in an argument, he's seen as an animal or an aggressive.
Well, he's seen aggressive, but he does. But what I was saying is what you were saying. He doesn't have to. Like, they made an ass of themselves. I feel like.
Oh yeah, they did. They did. Probably.
Like,
they
didn't have to prove anything. I didn't think.
But I think what they did when they walked out was the right move. Because
to be fair, you're right. It did bring attention to all of the crap that they were doing to them.
Yep, because now comes the fight back. Now comes, okay, well, that happened. We need now to make changes. Let's all work together, stand up, and fight against this organization that's allowing this to happen. And let's go ahead and create a better situation for everyone by fighting back. And I think that's now what's going to happen, or I hope that's what's going to happen now.
Right.
But why does it have to be a fight back? Why can't it be just a fix? I mean, there is a big difference.
Because the reason it always has to be a fight is because it never goes away. If we can say we want to fix it, but it never gets fixed.
Yeah, I mean that's how owning a car is too. That doesn't mean I'm at war with it.
That and
everything in life takes maintenance. Everything, every relationship, everything you own, every object, every person, yourself, just being alive takes maintenance.
Completely agree.
So to say that because the fight never ends, I mean, every fight continues. I mean, in all honesty, it's in some form or fashion. Really. Of course, you're going to have maintenance on it. Of course, there's going to be crappy people, and as you get enough people together, you're going to find someone who's a dick. You're going to find someone who's an angel. You're going to find, you know what I mean, someone who gives good hugs. You're going to have someone who fights often. Like, yes, all of those things will be present, but to say that means there should be a fight for everything just sounds exhausting.
Well, there's a difference because it's not an off and on thing. So there's always going to be that battle, and it's not going to be it's not going to be a either or thing. Because, for example, a protest without an end game is just a bunch of people marching.
Right. Yeah. Saying there's a problem without an answer is just complaining.
Yeah, but the protest has to happen.
Yes.
So just like but that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be an either or. We have to think of them as one thing together. That fight and that battle is for that fix. Because just instituting a fix isn't going to fix the problem. Because that fix is already there. For example, I was discussing with somebody.
Wait, you're mixing metaphors.
This is where I was going to. So what I was discussing with someone today and even the past couple of days, because we were discussing the whole transgender issue.
Oh.
So, for example, they brought up, transgender issues and gay rights issues. Gay rights was all settled because gay people can get married. And I'm like, okay. Yes. Making marriage legal doesn't make it legal across the board.
Legal does not make it equal.
Yes. And so I tried to explain by giving the analogy, and which still fits in this, which is still part of this whole discussion, is that we can say that discrimination is illegal based on race, but racism still exists. People are still fired, arrested. There's systemic racism still out there, even though it is illegal. So we can put in that fix was placed in because it was supposed to fix the situation and say, hey, racism's illegal. We should be able to do this based off of race. Well, you know what goes on today? The same thing is happening based on race. So that's why I say the fight has to continue. We can place the fix there.
I understand. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is this is not a fight that we have. This is not a new fight that the African Americans are fighting. I'm talking you want to talk slavery in the old. This has gone on. We're talking Jews and Egyptians. We're talking the Prussians and the Russians, and the Prussians and the Germans, the Jewish and the Germans. I mean, there's been hate on hate. Hell, the Irish on the Irish, they still fucking hate each other, and I don't even.
Or the Irish on the British.
I mean, there's a million different. Racism is so relative. It's insane. Living in Japan and seeing the racism that they have against Taiwanese, which is weird to me. I have no idea why. Or the Chinese, the Japanese, and the Koreans, their anger at each other. I mean, racism is so relative. Where to me, growing up in the U.S. and never being really even being adopted, they seem the same to me. I don't really know a difference between Chinese, Japanese and Korean and stuff. You know what I mean? And that's out of sheer ignorance because I was never really exposed to it, and I'm trying to learn. But that doesn't.
But Siren, along those same lines, don't you ever get tired sometimes sometimes, because I've had this conversation on some of our other shows, including some that I posted and everything, where we sometimes have a tendency to lump people together because, not everybody that's Asian is of the same countries or the same nationalities, but a lot of times, like even when we're talking music, a lot of times you'll hear people say, that they want Latin music at a festival. And I don't know how you can have just one Latin music at a festival. You need to have different Latin music because the Latin society is vast and very diverse. And the same, I would argue, with somebody that says that they want Asian music. Does that mean you want K-pop, or does that mean that you want Philippine music? It's two different styles of music.
But what you're asking me is if that bothers me, and
yes.
It's hard for me to say if it bothers me because I'm in that same boat. You know, like I didn't grow up with an Asian family. I grew up with a white family in Middle America on the buckle of the Bible Belt. I mean, so I learn those things just like they do. So I'm in the same position. So it's not offensive necessarily to me when they go, well, I like Asian like you. Yeah, I mean, to me it's the same thing. I think I'm a little less pushy about that or hurt about that because I get a lot of other things too. Like I'm short. You know what I mean? That has nothing really to do. They're not talking race. They're just talking shortness. I get short jokes and people talk to me about being short often because my husband is 6'4" and I'm 4'11". So that comes up a lot,
But that even plays into the stereotypes because the stereotype is that most Asian women are short, even though I've seen some Asian women that are Amazon size as well.
Are.
So, and I've definitely seen, what's the basketball player that's like 6'8"?
Ying Mao or whatever. Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't know. I guess another thing is psychologically, evolutionarily, we have as humans, as a species, part of what makes us special is our ability to take people, group them together, or take experiences, group them together, and learn from them. That's an evolutionary trait that pretty much every sapient being has. And I don't think that it's so bad for people who are ignorant, for people who grew up on a farm like me and weren't into this stuff, for them to only know those core kind of cliches. I don't necessarily know that that's something that I would hold against them. It's not necessarily their fault if they're not exposed. It's their fault if they don't want to be exposed.
That's the point.
But it's not their fault if they aren't. And I think a lot of that I get to finish. I think I think a lot of the backlash is that they're getting punished for being ignorant.
Yep, that is true.
So, by the way, I'll tell you, my mom, being as sweet as she is, she's the sweetest old Irish woman. And she asked, bless her heart, one of our Black friends, she was like, what do I do? Because I want to support you in the Black Lives Matter. I don't know what to do. And he'd shoot her ass out. She called me in tears.
So there
are... No, but even along those lines, and I've actually got to get ready to bounce off, but I will bounce back in a minute. I've got to go help a friend with a event that they're doing real quick. But along those same lines and everything, my friend Sri Srinivasan, who is a Asian American out of New York, used to work with the Met and has done work with the New York Times and everything like that. He definitely had a show because he does he does a couple of shows, but he was doing one during the pandemic and the height of it last year. It was like a daily talk, and one of those conversations was around allies and what do allies do. And most of the allies were just told, show up and acknowledge that what's going on. That's the best thing an ally can do, is acknowledge and also be an ally. So be supportive and all of that. And that's one of the ways that he put that argument out there, that if you're going to be an ally, one, acknowledge what was happened in the past. It don't mean that you're saying that you were part of it, but just acknowledge what happened in the past, and also be a true ally and find ways to improve the situation.
Mm-hmm. I will always say that the civil rights push could never happen with only Black people in it.
Exactly.
We need allies. And we need people. And just Siren, how you were talking about how your mother was dealt with, That's not how you make allies. That's not how you help. Everybody is ignorant of something, but are you willfully ignorant is the issue. If
Correct.
you are willfully ignorant, then that means you don't care about it.
Correct.
You are set in that mindset, and it won't change.
Willful ignorance is a totally different conversation, though.
And that's where I think if with someone, because I'm ignorant of a lot of Asian issues.
No, what I'm saying is this whole thing stemmed from us talking about it being a fight, everything being a fight. And what I'm saying is there are a lot of people who aren't willfully ignorant, just are ignorant, that get punished for their ignorance. And because I feel like a lot of times we do go in, and I'll be honest, I'm bad about it too, where I'll go in defensive. I'm already defensive. You know what I mean? Being a female CEO Asian woman, I very often go in already defensive. So I get it. I feel like we also need to be cognizant of that.
Oh yeah, and I completely
forgiving of that because we do need allies.
And this is where communication is huge. This is where I feel that communication is key to us progressing. I have to want to learn and understand about women's issues. I have to learn and understand about other cultural issues because I come from one background.
Right.
Yeah, it may have different cultural pieces tied to it, but I come from one background. Right. My background is different from the person next to me. So
my question is can we be patient for those people who don't have anything close to our background?
We can, but sometimes we aren't. And that goes vice versa. Because sometimes
we know it goes vice versa. Yeah. That's the already done. We already know that they're defensive against us. And that's okay. That's systemic and that's been being acknowledged. The flip is we have to be better too.
Yes.
We can't do the same shit to
Completely
them that
agree.
they do to us. We have to be better.
Completely agree. And I
don't think we're doing a very good job, especially when the answer is we have to fight. We're always fighting.
I think because that's where the miscommunication comes into play. Because when I'm talking about fighting, I'm fighting for that fix. I'm fighting to get that fix corrected. Fighting doesn't mean it's a physical altercation.
Maybe working is a better term, like working toward it.
I mean, working towards it, fighting for it. That's where getting caught up in semantics causes an issue. Because
I think the semantics matter though in that instance because it's about motivation. The semantics on that is about motivation and where the emotion starts. It's not like a semantics in that it could start here or there or now or then. This is in regards to where it comes from. Do we walk into them defensive or do we walk into them ready to educate, ready to be patient and teach them the things that we finally have the time to, like, they're finally listening. We finally get to write it the way we want to. Maybe not all of them, but some of them.
So
are we doing a good job teaching them? Or
I would say that is more of a response, or that response is similar to saying that I don't like the way you protest.
What?
If you're saying that fight is the wrong word, which fight is just a generic term because it's going to take the direction this way or the other way, and that's where if a person is going to be, hey, I'm ignorant of this issue, I want to learn. If that person's going to take that spot, they've got to understand that if a person uses particular verbiage, they've got to understand the background behind that verbiage and not say, I don't like that word, use something different.
I understand the background behind it, and I'm not saying
no. But do you see what I'm saying?
Though is you can say I'm willing to fight, but to go into it fighting to me seems counterintuitive. We want to be better. I'm not saying that we don't have to fight. I'm not saying that we won't have to fight. I'm not saying that we haven't fought. all I'm saying is to go into it blanket saying I'm already fighting, as opposed to attempting to change our mindset into what we actually want, seems counterintuitive. That's all.
So I mean, if you're going to say that it's okay to fight,
yeah,
but then say that we can't use the terminology that we're fighting for.
No. I'm saying to go into a situation ready to fight. That's all. It's just a mentality. It does matter. I think when you walk into a situation and say, I'm willing to fight. I'm going to fight this. I'm here to fight. Those are all three very different statements. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I think that you're jumping to the.
That I walk into a lot of situations already defensive. I can't speak for everyone else. Here's me talking, and I think for myself.
Okay? That's where I think that
me for myself, I'll do that. I'm saying we shouldn't go in defensive. We shouldn't go in ready to fight. We should, and I can only speak for myself. But those are my regrets. Is I went in defensive, and I had people that were willing to listen, that wanted to hear my story and what it's like getting spit on walking down the street because I need to take I need to take my fucking virus and go home. I get it. And I ruined it, in all honesty, because I was defensive and ready to fight for it and fight for my people. And, I was too macro, and I wasn't macro enough to be there in the moment with these people and explain what it was like and how it feels and all of those things so that they could go through it with me, because they won't experience that. None of them are going to get spit on walking down the street. You know what I mean?
So in terms of, so I think there's a lot that you're squishing together. And so, for example, with the Howard thing that Mark brought up, I think the idea of, okay, we have to fight to get that corrected. I don't think that is an issue to say it that way.
Not in that situation.
Yeah, and that's where, I guess we started off, and that's what I'm saying. That using that terminology, we have to fight to get that corrected, is fine.
Because they started it though. And, yes. And they did everything they could to stop that situation. And not only that, but their way of stopping that situation was not attempting to change it, was removing themselves from a situation they knew they couldn't change. Everything that they did was great.
Yeah, and I think, and honestly, one of the guys just brought up a great point, which is actually another example that I'd like to bring into. For the domestic terrorist attack that happened on January 6th, somebody brought up the information about what Trump had said. He had talked about fight. Fight itself is not the word. It's what you're fighting for is the point. And I think that's where I'm losing, where I guess my miscommunication and my inability to elaborate more on that was where you got lost.
I think that you and I are on a fundamental differentiation in this conversation, because to me, I'm referring to fight, like you're talking about what you're fighting for. I'm talking about fight, the verb itself and the usage of it, and our response to fight. That's all.
Okay, yeah, because for me,
that fight, it doesn't matter what the instigating issue is. Because that response on our behalf, it has nothing to do with whether it's about the domestic terrorism or this, or what the precipitating action is, or even what group you belong to. If my mother went into every conversation with a colored person ready to fight and be defensive, she's going to have a problem. Like, that's how that works. And that's what I'm getting at, is none of us need to be that ready, that defensive.
So for example, for me, again, it all boils down to what you're fighting for and what it goes towards. So saying that fighting for your rights is a bad thing.
No, but saying that everyone is against you and that you have to fight them is a bad thing.
But nobody's saying that.
Not everyone who disagrees and not everyone who's ignorant on the topic. Those two groups are allowed to exist.
Oh, and I completely agree.
No, I totally agree with you on that.
I think that's where you're missing me. I'm not saying that using the terminology fighting to make what's right or fighting to do this is not a fight against everybody under the sun or those that want to listen. That's not the fight. A fight for a fix with the Howard situation. It's not fighting everybody that you come across. It's about building bridges. Yes.
No. I understand what you're saying. I'm saying that the other happens because of the terminology. And I'm trying to reference myself.
Yes. And that all comes down to communication when you get into talking, because the same way that you feel defensive about, saying the word fight and taking it to a connotation or taking it to a negative arena. There are others that don't. It's the same way that, for example, I had a discussion, and this came up yesterday. There were two individuals. There was Tim Scott and Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. Tim Scott in his speech said that America was not racist.
Right.
Kamala Harris in her speech or in her interview said America was not racist. They said completely different things, but the verbiage was the same.
Oh, you're saying that the message was different, but based on the way that they were saying it.
And that's where I'm saying that it's all about communication and discussion with individuals, because how you're turned off by the term fight. Okay, well,
I don't understand you're going to have to finish or elaborate on the Kamala Harris. Sorry.
Okay, so the message behind what Tim Scott...
They both said the same thing, but they said different things? What was the difference?
The huge difference is that Tim Scott had just finished complaining about a racist situation that he had to deal with, then jumped in and said, okay, well, America's not racist, and this is why it's not racist. Tim Scott is mainly giving cover for those individuals that want to discriminate and make them feel better for them discriminating. Those same Trump there's a section of the Trump supporters that are pretty doggone racist.
Mm-hmm.
He's giving cover to those individuals because he's pandering to those same individuals.
Oh, okay.
So his message is that you can feel okay. You're not bad. You're not racist.
What was Kamala Harris's?
Kamala Harris, for the first time, said that America wasn't racist. But she said that in the middle of an interview because she switched that whole politician role. She said in the middle of an interview talking about systemic racism and institutionalized racism, this, that, and the other thing. Her point is that she's not trying to call people of America racist because I want you to vote for me. But there are problems within our institutions that have racist implications. So the message is completely different that, hey, look, there is racism here, but I'm not calling you racist. Tim Scott, hey, you can be racist, but you know what? You're not racist. So there are two different messages that got pushed out there.
Tim Scott, actually, that sounds to me more along the lines of Kamala Harris, and like some people can be racist, but the U.S. is not racist, is what that sounded like to me. It sounds to me like they were trying to spout the same thing.
They even though the words were the same, that one small snippet that's getting played and getting pushed out there, the message was completely different. And that's where, again, trying to understand more context and more communication. So, for example, understanding more context about the word fight and how it pertains to making you defensive. That's a word that I probably won't use in discussions with you then, because in terms of
no.
This is not that way.
No, but Siren and Jacoby, if I could just
I mean, that
back
was an overstep. I
if I
apologize.
could, and no, hold on a second. If I could just back up here, and I want to use another example because I'm trying to understand, like Simon was, the whole racism thing and everything. Because I do think that to some degree, I don't know that Tim Scott necessarily, and it's just my personal opinion, I don't know that he necessarily believes that there's a lot of systematic racism because he also talked about Howard and the HBCUs and how that past president had done all this great work for the HBCUs and all of that. So I'm not sure that Tim Scott necessarily believes in systematic racism. I think Kamala does believe in it because she worked in the criminal justice system. So she saw it and was part of it. So I actually think that she definitely believes in the feeling of systematic racism. I'm not 100% sure that Tim Scott does. I haven't met the man, so I can't make that judgment except for what I've heard. But one parallel that I was going to use is that I have a very dear friend that really cannot stand AOC. They feel that AOC has stepped outside of their boundaries and everything because they're young and not as gone through the ranks in their words, and they have been involved in the Democratic Party. So in I think Wisconsin and out west, but they have definitely been involved in the Democratic Party, and they feel that she hasn't gone through her ranks and everything. So they feel that she is stepping out of her boundaries when she's talking about issues, whether it's climate change or whether it's racism or a number of other things, because they feel she hasn't gone through the ranks. And I don't necessarily agree with them because I feel that even our young people can definitely have some great attitudes as well. And so when I'm talking to my friend from Las Vegas, I have to sometimes tell them that that's your opinion, and we just have to agree to disagree. Because, like I said, I'm definitely feel that AOC has got some good traits around with the rest of the squad, but she can't stand the squad because she feels that all six of them, and actually one of them is actually an older citizen and everything, but she feels that all of them have not gone through the quote unquote ranks of the political party, because you do have some people that feel that you've got to go through that political party system.
I mean, I'll be honest. I would say maybe 70% of what I say is stuff that I actually believe. I'm all about devil's advocate. If I'm going to believe it, I need to know why. But
Right.
I'm sorry if I gave you the impression that fight is something that we can't get along on. For me personally, I am all about the fight. I thought it was pretty obvious that I'm ornery and ready to go. However, I do think that that's a topic we're talking about. And I do think that it's important that we know what we're talking about. And I do think that there is a difference between what fighting for something and then fighting. And I think we lose sight of that a lot. And my mom is not the only person I think that has ran into just open hatred and bullying, just trying to be an ally. So asking the tough questions of ourselves is what we're supposed to do.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong. When I was saying that, it was mainly, I mean, it's more or less thinking out loud, but it's about a way of communicating. My whole thing is all about communication. So if I understand that it puts you in a defensive manner, and thinking out loud is what I was saying. So it's just a way of trying to give an example of, okay, communication. If that word is going to be a barrier, then let's figure out.
No. My whole point is the whole point of psychology of affirmations. Words mean things. Using specific words in your head, it matters, especially if it's repetitive. You add any sort of repetition to your subconscious, and that's going to be a default physiologically with your adrenal axis, your endocrine system, your lymphatic system. And what I was getting at is maybe we shouldn't be feeding it the word fighting. That was
Gotcha.
the whole point.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
That's it.
Speaking of communications,
can we use the word work instead of fight? Can we feed our subconscious something better than fight? That's it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of communications, I've heard this argument, and I wanted to hear from both of y'all whether you think that it's possible. But I've heard some people in the civil rights community say that they don't think that it is possible for a person of African American descent because of everything that we as African Americans, and it doesn't matter what the skin tone is, have been through and everything, but that it's impossible for somebody of African American descent to be racist because of everything that we've been through. And they might argue the same thing about other minorities as well, whether that's Asian or Latin American. But I don't know that I necessarily agree, but I just want to know your thoughts. Is it possible for somebody of a minority culture to be a racist?
I mean, from the technical term, from the definition of the word, of course, anybody can be racist.
So the
But the
way,
connotation is, can a suppressed or oppressed population be be racist towards a population that oppressed them? That's the actual question you're asking, correct?
Yes.
Because there is a difference, I feel like. Or is that the question you're asking? Which one is it? Is that it?
Well, it's actually both, because the argument is what you just said, that an oppressed people cannot be racist based on the fact that they are oppressed.
Maybe I'm just ignorant. I go by the literal term. If you judge someone by their race, you're racist. Is that
so
not
the,
literal?
yeah, the term, I guess, the term is now changed or is trying to change. I think it was, is it Coates who is trying to? Ooh, just got hit by the back. Um, I think it's Coates who's trying, or there are
Yes.
some other in the black community that are saying that the word actually involves a power component as well.
Yes.
So
Right.
for
The
somebody
oppressed
to be
versus the
racist, they would have
oppressor.
to be in power,
Right.
and be able to, just as you were saying, Siren, to oppress another individual. So if we go, yes, with the literal definition, yes, black people can be just as racist as white people. And that would be, if you take and add the power component, yes, they can be just as discriminatory.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go with just the literal definition, yes, black people can be just as racist as white people.
That's fantastic. I love that you did that. That you switched over to discriminatory, because that's fantastic. Maybe it isn't racism. Maybe it isn't us being racist against them if they put an embargo on my people and shipped us all off into concentration camps and all of that kind of crap. Like, maybe that isn't racist because of what they've done to us, but it's still discriminatory. You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
I like that. That's valid. That's beautiful. Thanks.
Yeah, I try and come up with some stuff every once in a
I
while.
like it. Synonyms. I love it.
Synonyms are great. I love synonyms as well. By the way, Benny did write back to me. Apparently, he's on the road to Asheville, and he's from Pittsburgh and runs this whole organization of parents of children who love video games on Meetup and everything. So that's his organization, and
That's
he's agreed
awesome.
to definitely try to come on next week with us. So he said that he was getting something to eat on his way to Asheville, but he definitely would like to get on next week. So hopefully Benny will be here next week, and we can figure out who the heck Caleb is and how he knows you.
Oh. I'm telling you, it's one of the kids. It might be one of the Fortnite kids. And the Fortnite.
That would make sense.
I'm trying to remember.
They have a huge Fortnite server. That would make total sense.
But yeah, his organization is that he's founded on Meetup is Parents of Children Who Love Playing Video Games.
Oh, cool. Okay, I've got to find that meetup. Get more.
They meet on Mondays at 7 p.m.
That's awesome.
7 p.m.
on Mondays.
Oh,
Looks like they meet in Cary. Oh, I'm sorry. This other one is a Wednesday meeting, so maybe they have Mondays and Wednesday meetings. But definitely they meet in Cary at something called Contender Esports.
yep, I know Contender. Wait a second, I do know Caleb. Oh, there's a troll. So
that's a big boy.
Yep.
You do know Caleb?
So Caleb is his son?
Yes.
So if it's the Caleb that I'm now thinking about, Caleb is always calling me about Contender Esports because he supposedly runs Contender Esports.
Okay.
And it's just, whoa, I gotta run from these guys. More people, get away.
And Contender Esports is what? So
Contender Esports is just it is a computer a facility that has computers that people play video games in. Okay. That's the easiest way to put it.
So like an arcade place for esports.
You got it.
We have one of those. It's called Funtasia. Those are awesome.
Walmart had made a deal with what was that? There was an esports company that Walmart had made a deal with, and they're supposed to be putting computers in different Walmarts.
So it sounds
Really?
like the kids have three choices now because I know that there are the old fashioned arcades. There's the what apparently Contender is the esport version, and then I know that they're kind of like these what are they? They're almost like reality rooms because I know Chapel
Mhm.
Hill's got one of them. That I'm trying to think of the best way to describe them, but they're kind of like virtual reality spaces.
That's
Yep.
cool. I mean, that goes a long way to what we were talking about a few months ago about accessibility.
Yep.
There being computers available. I mean, in a Walmart, that's huge. I know that
Yeah.
sounds crazy, but I mean, especially considering how often they probably go with their parents, that's kind of cool.
So yeah,
Was
that's
that
that's
something
definitely
that
big.
An
you?
escape room. That's the room I was thinking about. That's in Chapel Hill when I was thinking
Oh,
about those
escape.
virtual spaces.
Got ya.
Ooh, who are they fighting over there?
So, what is the whole thing with the Walmart? What was going on with that? They want to put computers in for kids to play for esports?
Yeah, basically just like an old arcade.
Oh my crap. They used to have that. Remember in the
Hmm.
Walmarts? They had that little area that had like the
Hmm.
claw and a couple games.
Yep.
Interesting. I wonder why they would put a computer instead of like a PlayStation or something.
It's probably cheaper.
A computer?
Yep. Because remember, they have the deals with those computer companies.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, the maintenance, because you can replace, a simple hard drive and a keyboard really easy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I know a lot of people play console because it's cheaper than a computer, but
Yeah.
the maintenance, and you would have quite a bit more maintenance too, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes,
Especially,
and it could handle more. You could handle more traffic, it'd have more power. Ah,
man, they
interesting.
keep chasing me. Leave me alone. I didn't do anything.
How do you think they would keep people from stealing computer parts?
So
They
I
probably
don't
put a chain around them.
see. I think that's another cheap part of it, or a cheap maintenance part of it, is that okay, who's going to take a $5 keyboard?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that's true because all of the peripheries would be individualized and cheap. I mean,
Yep,
what's the cheapest controller you can buy? $20, maybe.
maybe, and that's one that actually syncs up
Oh
and
no,
it's
no. I'm
wired.
talking like the cheapest wired one I can think of is probably 20 plus tax, maybe. And that's a crappy one that'll only last you like a month or
Yeah.
two. The ones you buy on Wish or some shit. Holy crap. But you could easily buy a $15 keyboard that's worth something.
Hmm.
So that
Yep.
makes total sense.
Easily, no
Interesting.
doubt about that.
Is that something that we want to see? Like, as gamers, as people that are talking, about accessibility and whatnot, is that something we would want to see more of? Is like maybe CVS is getting them, or some way to bring that kind of accessibility into maybe lower income
Yeah.
neighborhoods, or
Oh yeah, definitely.
That
I mean,
actually is where I would be, and that's where I think that accessibility or the accessibility is a huge thing. I think a lot of these kids, especially in the I ran into a bad spot. Um, that are in these lower income communities miss out on the opportunity to play the major esports, to
right?
learn programming, to actually understand graphic design. So I think, oh no, another troll.
well, I grew up in a rural town in North Carolina, and when I was in my preteen and teen years, and I know that a lot of times the kids were finding their activities, including the old-fashioned video games, at either the convenience store, the grocery store, or the neighborhood pool hall. So maybe we just got to start a movement to get the esports games into either the pool halls or into grocery stores because that's where a lot of the rural folks are finding their accessibility.
Yeah, I mean, arcades really have died, haven't they? Because, the thing about arcades was even if you had a game system at your house, you could really only afford one or two games. So
Right.
it was more advantageous to spend, a few bucks to go to an arcade and play a million different games
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, I mean, like with Steam and stuff, games are so easily accessible. I mean, there's too many games to play at
Yeah.
this point. Arcades are kind of dead, I guess, now, right? How do we?
Yep.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
there's
arcade
still arcade places, but I'm
fighting
trying to.
games, I think, are what could bring arcades back.
That's what I was thinking. Is how do we bring that back? You would
But
almost have to
Jacoby,
go
what's
old
that
school.
place that's over here in Durham? Because that's an arcade game place. They seem like they were doing pretty well. They were catering to the college kids. It's over there near Motorco and
Oh,
the Axe
Boxcar?
place. Huh?
Boxcar.
Boxcar, right.
Yeah, and it's just basically the community. If you place it in bars and like Chuck E. Cheese stuff,
Yeah.
arcades will still be okay because people want to play games.
Right.
But the tough part is that you're not going to have this type of game in an arcade. You'll have a fighting game or a driving game.
Right. Or a sports game, Madden or something.
Yeah, you have like Madden, or you have like the old-fashioned board games, and I'm sure there's a e-sport version of it. But you'll have like foosball, or you'll have air hockey.
Oh, Pong.
Well,
so,
Jacoby, is there a video game version of foosball or air hockey? Because I used to love air hockey when I was a kid.
There's video game version for everything.
Oh yeah, they have a what's the word? They have a VR one now, so you actually like hit it like it's an air hockey table.
Oh, in the video game, you hit it just like it's an air hockey table.
Yeah, you have the visor thing, and then you've got and it's controlled, so you hit it like that. I sat down on the coffee table and used the coffee table like it was the thing. That one was really fun. It's hard. Holy crap, it's hard because it's so fast.
Yeah, that's where VR and AR are taking off big time.
Right?
Oh, I tried to do, I'll always try and do my little exercising every once in a while with the VR stuff. That Fit VR kicks my butt.
Yeah?
It is tough. I'll do like one of the 15-minute things and halfway die.
So it's doing its job. That's what I heard.
Very true. Very true.
That's awesome. So I wanted to go back and ask. The reason I asked about more companies putting computers in is, do you think it would be more advantageous in those lower income neighborhoods to do something like that where there is one or twosies in stores that are, or do you think it would be better to do something like a Fantasia or like you guys were talking about where it's a place with multiple computers for gaming only? Which one would be more advantageous, do you think?
I mean, it's tough because I think, the ones in stores will be good because you could sit down and it could be a safe place to sit your child while you go shop and your child can do some studying. Libraries, the more you upgrade libraries to have the stuff would be phenomenal.
That's a great call.
It's a true safe area for kids to go. And
it's a safe area, but then can you get the librarians behind it? Because libraries are also the sanctuary of quiet if you listen to librarians. So you probably have to find a designated spot because you don't want to aggravate the folks that are into the quiet spot.
I bet you could
completely
talk
agree
into that because then they could put all of their like digital arts, coding, physics, math, all of those kind of like specific books towards gamers, put those all in that room. And then when they're sitting there, I mean, they're looking up while they're waiting for a game to post. Maybe they see a title they like. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
It'd be great.
Great idea.
And a set aside spot. Yeah, definitely. I can see a set aside spot because I know that definitely they did that with some of the those robotic spots in some of those maker kind of rooms. Because I know that there were a couple of maker places that were popping up around the triangle where folks would just come and create robots or create just different things from the maker community.
Really?
Yeah.
That's freaking
there
awesome.
was that robotics place that was in Northgate Mall.
Yep, exactly.
But that closed down.
I don't know nothing about them. What are they? What's makers? Like, tell me more.
So it's The place that was in Northgate Mall, it had it set where you. Oh Lord, there's somebody over there. You know where you had the end of it. You've seen the Robot Wars and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So in Northgate, they had a place where kids could come and learn about robotics and
Right.
how to build robots. And
Right.
they actually had a team out of there that would go to the robot or those robotics competitions.
What?
Mhm.
Yeah.
What happened? That's freaking awesome.
Well, not the sad part is that I mean, one, the expense. So a lot of the kids that oh, it's dark over there. What is that darkness? I'm scared. Oh, it's just nighttime. So a lot of the kids would not. Oh, somebody points out Durham has a marketplace, but I don't think Raleigh has a marketplace. But it was a little expensive and it was tough to have your child in there. And I think they tried to run camps. The same thing, there was a remote control or an RC car park that was in Northgate Mall that was actually really kind of cool. And they tried to teach people how to build their cars and would help maintenance them.
Yep.
But of course,
It's too expensive, huh?
That's another expense.
That was a cool car place, by the way.
I actually bought 2 remote control cars from that place.
And they used to do great birthday parties too. I think my nephews had their birthday 2 years ago there, 2 or 3 years ago.
Man, I would love a robotics lab. Like that would be. I'm still geeking out about that. I think I would play there for days at a time. That's amazing.
I would.
Like that nowadays, or is that just like me? That I like to put shit together and touch buttons. Is that just me?
No, you're not the only one. I got I got a little robot downstairs. I got a remote control car downstairs. I'm a big kid.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with being a big kid.
See, I want to teach the parents of these kids that's a thing. It is okay to be a big kid. It's okay for your kids to be kids. And it's okay for you to be a kid. Come laugh and smile and play.
But they don't want to listen sometimes.
I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is they don't want to listen, but then they wind up playing, adult version of kid games in their real life. So, like I said, even though they're not listening, they're playing adult version of kid games.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do have to say that at least our age group of parents, you can get them with Madden pretty easily.
Yeah.
Very many people in their 30s, 40s that don't know and love Madden.
Madden and NBA 2K.
Madden. Sorry?
Madden and NBA 2K.
Yes, NBA 2K. Oh, did you watch the new Mortal Kombat?
I did.
And how do you feel?
So,
say it.
I mean,
you're with me, aren't you?
Probably. Well, possibly. I wasn't big on it.
I hated it.
Thank you.
I hated it. I was so upset.
That was not Liu Kang.
Right?
That was not Liu Kang at all. That was some guy dressed up in an outfit.
I'm so glad that you.
Oh my gosh!
Can't just be me, because my kids, they've played Mortal Kombat their whole lives. They knew who everyone was.
Mm-hmm.
They loved it, and I'm like, what? Why? What?
But that raises a question: has there been, and y'all may tell me, and I don't mind dating myself again, but has there been we know there have been truly great cartoon movies, but have there been any truly great video game movies? Because I don't know that I would necessarily call definitely not Mortal Kombat, definitely not Tron. Since, like I said, I'm gonna date myself, and I would even say that if you want to add Avatar way back in the day, I don't know that I would consider that a great one either. So, has there been one that follows the the trajectory of the storyline of a video game that also works in a movie?
Oh yeah, have you seen Resident Evil?
Haven't seen that one.
Oh. I mean, granted, it's a horror movie. It's a suspense movie because it's a horror game. It is gory AF. But that movie is actually really good. It's older, so I mean, it's kind of corny now, but it had Mila Kunis, whatever her name is, and that one's actually really cool. It goes into like the T virus. They have the lockdown, and it shows the mutations. And that one's kind of fun. It's like a messed up, like Isle of Dr. Moreau meets Jurassic Park. 28 days later, like it's kind of everything. I like that one. Can't think of any other video game movies though.
I mean, there've been a few.
Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers was bad. There've been more. The tough part for a movie to capture the magic of a video game is tough because of pacing. If I can get out of here, but I will say. Like, I wasn't big on the Resident Evil ones, but Resident Evil was a good, entertaining movie.
Yo, yeah, it's not going to change your life. There's no substance to it at all.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat was just garbage.
Yeah, God, I was really sad about that. I expected so much better.
Yeah, I did too. That first fight scene was what everybody hyped it up. It was like, yeah, that was supposed to be great. Okay, what after that? It had no story.
Exactly.
The physics was just dumb. Kung Lao, that whole fight scene.
We were missing like 5 people as well. Scorpion was only in for like 20 seconds, which I thought was weird.
And that made no sense. Why are you going to have this random dude?
Yeah, and then I spent half the movie trying to figure out if I knew who he was.
Me too.
I was like, who is this guy? Is he one of the new guys on the roster? Like, no.
Well, speaking of random guys,
But Mark, to answer your question though, terms of something, in terms of the best video game-esque, I guess, TV show movie, right now that's Castlevania.
Okay, I've heard of Castlevania.
Castlevania is phenomenal. It's a cartoon, but it's phenomenally written. The last season of it comes up I think it's either this month when they're releasing it. Maybe
and you can play all of those characters in Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, Siren, if you haven't seen Castlevania is the show.
Yeah.
I sat down and watched that, and at the end of season 3, I think it was, and the final battle is maybe one of the only times where I'm sitting at home all alone watching this show, and I stood up and cheered.
Yes. Okay. You brought it up before, but this is time.
Well,
I'll watch
this is an actually interesting article that I saw as well, and it actually comes back to another friend of mine that lives here in the Triangle, who actually still collecting royalties from his horror movie that he wrote the song for and everything, because he and country singers actually wrote for this particular movie, and they're still getting royalties for it. But they were saying that movie that I'm going to name deserved to get its own video game, because they were saying folks that do not have a video game yet deserve to have a video game. And my friend John Howie, and I do also know his married, wrote the music for Jeepers Creepers. So they're feeling that Jeepers Creepers needs its own horror villain, a video game. They also said
Jeepers Creepers. I remember going and seeing that in theaters when it came out on a date in high school. Holy crap.
Jeepers Creepers.
That's the song you wrote.
Oh no, he's coming to kill me.
That's the song that John Howie wrote. Said John Howie lives right here in the Triangle.
Holy crap.
They were saying in this article, they were saying that these characters, that maybe they already have them, but they said that Creeper from Jeepers Creepers needs his own video game. They said Pennywise needs his own video game because he doesn't have one apparently. Indie Man doesn't have one. And this was an article written a few years ago.
Could you imagine a Super Smash of all the bad guys?
Hey, what?
Oh gosh, that would be amazing.
That would be kind of fun.
Man, freaking Freddy Krueger. Holy crap! I would play the crap out of that.
Because they said in this article from a few years ago, they said Ghostface, that was like one of their top ones that needed one from Scream, and Elizabeth Bathory from Stay Alive.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I totally forgot about the Scream dude. Holy crap. Tell me you wouldn't play this game. Oh my.
Oh, I play it all the time.
Samara from The Ring, that was another character.
The girl from The Ring.
Yeah.
The Hook Man and the Fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer. So that was one of the other ones.
Yes. I love it. Going back to the old random slasher movies from the early 2000s. I like it.
There is actually a game. Not mentioning Resident Evil because Resident Evil had one dude that would chase you down the hallway and you could never kill him. Scared the crap out of you. But Alien Isolation, I think it's Isolation is the second part. But basically,
wait, is that the one on the ship?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't play that game at night in the dark.
No.
It'll make you afraid of anything that goes bump in the night.
Oh,
yeah.
So what is the plasmapheresis? Plasma.
Oh,
Phasmophobia. Phasmophobia?
Yes.
So we played that one on the 24-hour one, and then they were like, "Hey, let's try the alien one." I think that one is way scarier.
Yeah, the alien one's scary as crap. I haven't even tried Phasmophobia. I've been wanting to.
Everyone talks about the plasma one, but the alien one is terrifying.
Did you play Half-Life?
Mm-mm.
Oh my goodness. You loving shooters. Half-Life, so there are 3 shooters that I consider the pinnacle of FPS games.
Okay.
There's BioShock. I don't know if you played BioShock.
I have. I suck at it, but I've played it.
So BioShock, especially BioShock Infinite. I showed Mark and Kara BioShock Infinite, a little bit of it, but that's one of the ones that I consider a pinnacle of shooting games, of first-person shooters.
I haven't played that one.
Borderlands. Good Lord, Borderlands! I will play forever.
Right now.
Love that game.
Yeah.
And then the third one is Half-Life. Half-Life is forget Halo, forget everything. Half-Life was one of the greatest FPSs ever. I'm still waiting for them to do the next Half-Life, but when Half-Life came out, if you get a chance, go back and download it.
What made it so? What did you love so much?
Oh, the mechanics, the weapons, the story, the graphics. Well, of course, they're dated now, but just everything about it, the pacing of the game.
See, that is so important. I feel like a lot of the FPSs miss the pacing.
Oh, they truly do.
The biggest one I feel like they miss.
And those 3 games have great pacing, but Half-Life was one that really started it. And one of the games that spawned from Half-Life, or there are actually 2. There's Half-Life Alyx. That's the one on VR, which is actually kind of freaky too, because if you play Half-Life, you'll get into it. And then when you play Half-Life Alyx, there are parts that happen and they're happening and you're going to jump anyway. Like, okay, I know this is coming. Why am I going to jump? I know this is coming. There was a part, for example, I was playing it the other day. I look across through this window. I see that rat there. There's a rat over there. You're like in this dungeon area. There's a rat there. I know it's there. I know it's not going to do anything to me. But the little crawler that's going to eat that rat is going to scare the crap out of me. I know it's
coming.
I know it. I feel it in my bones. But yeah, Half-Life is, if you get a chance, get Half-Life.
You told me it doesn't matter if you feel it in your bones. You're already the one that said you were going to go into the water with the shark and that you were going to go and meet and try to shake hands with the Jeepers Creepers. I can see you now trying to go back there. I can see you now trying to shake hands with Pennywise. You're going to be sitting there trying to go to the circus with Pennywise.
We'll do all that. But mess around in Half-Life and that thing jumping in my face like aliens, I'm freaking out.
Alien Isolation was one of the scariest.
So I think we've learned the secret here. So if it's an alien, Jatovi's running. Anything else that's monster-wise, Jatovi doesn't care. But anything coming from outer space, Jatovi's freaking out.
There's Half-Life also introduced one of my favorite weapons of any game whatsoever, and it was phenomenal. It was called a zero gravity gun. And it started the whole craze of so with that zero gravity gun is you would aim it at a person, it would immediately kill the person that you sucked up because it would attract them to you, and they would sit there dangling dead, and you would shoot them back out at somebody else, and it would knock them down. And it would kill anybody that touched. It was the greatest weapon ever, because you would walk around, and the second best weapon they had was the crossbow that you shot the hot iron rod or the hot rod irons out of. And you would peg people up against walls, and you would sit them. It was play Half-Life. You will love it. It is just phenomenal.
Holy crap, I'm in.
And then the game that spawned from it's a game called Portal. I don't know if you ever heard of Portal.
Portal.
That's where it came. Portal came from Half-Life.
Freaking way. Portal came from Half-Life?
Portal came from Half-Life.
I love Portal. I love Portal.
So freaking addictive. Would you like cake?
In my office when I worked in England, I had my two monitors. One was the blue and one was the red.
Oh, really?
Underneath. I freaking love Portal so much.
Portal.
It's so awesome.
It is one of the best puzzle games. I've always loved Portal. But yes, that's where it came from, was Half-Life.
Wow. Hey, Jacoby, I just decided to do something fun since you didn't have any news for us. I went and looked up news today, and I found out apparently in AARP, and there's another story that's involving your favorite thing, but apparently in the AARP magazine of about 2 weeks ago, there's an article called "Why We Like Video Games. Maybe We're Control Freaks. From phone puzzles to fantasy adventures. Here's why digital games are devouring the world." And it was in AARP. So the actual beginning of the article says, "What draws nearly half of all older Americans, and even a larger percentage of those younger than us, to play so many games on a phone, computer, or a console hooked up to a TV. What makes digital gaming so appealing that it becomes both a daily and a lifelong pursuit, including for a 50-something like me who's been playing since his arcade days in the 1980s. The easy answer is that it's a temporary escape from the pressures of the real world, an essential distraction, particularly over this past year. And yes, lots of online games qualify as wonderful diversions. Countless Americans pass some time each day playing Sudoku, Candy Crush, Angry Birds, and other puzzle games on their phones or tablets. But that's just one segment of the gaming market. Step beyond the fast gratification phone games, and you emerge into a world where the player is more than ever an active participant in a game's narrative. Your decisions and actions impact where the story goes, as opposed to watching a film or TV during which you're a passive couch potato. And the article goes on past that and everything else, but it definitely talks about how even in the 50 crowd, video games are becoming a big thing. It says, "We knew interactivity was cool." That's summed down to some more of the article. But it says, want to pilot a commercial aircraft? Want to step into the boots of an action hero? Or just create an alternative you in an alternative world? If you still think of video games as a kid stuff, the equivalent of an electronics toy, you are missing out on the most sophisticated form of entertainment available. Yes, it used to be that video games were about clearing the screen of objects, take your pick, asteroids, dots, centipedes, alien invaders, while evading death en route to the high score. But today, many modern games create immersive experiences with varying goals. Some play out like a movie with you as the star. The choices you make determine how the story plays out, till other games approach the existential, providing environments where players don't compete so much as build, explore, and share. So this is from a AARP magazine article, and it goes on talking about some other stuff as well.
That makes so much sense to me, because I love that they're pushing it more for the more invalid crowd, as weird as that, like more at home or more isolated crowd. Because when I first started chemo and I started in my group, this was right before COVID, and it got real bad mid-COVID. They pushed all of us. Hey, even if you've never played a video game, you need to get into video gaming. And they almost the exact same thing you read just now out of the AARP is what they basically our group lead was telling us. If you think this is just you know what I mean, for kids, then you're dead wrong. This is a way to have, interactive entertainment as opposed to passive entertainment. And it's a way to have some sort of social interaction for those of you that, we obviously couldn't go out into public at all. And there was a ton of like, this is where you can find a social group. This is where you can, find a sense of purpose. And I think that people forget how much we need that, and especially the older community or the invalid community like myself, where we feel kind of useless after a while. Video games do give you that kind of level up feeling. You get a kind of a false sense of accomplishment, but it does help with your mental health when sometimes you can't do that. So I love hearing that in the AARP. That makes total sense to me.
Yeah, and they said they named some games, including some that I play, because they mentioned Words with Friends and Candy Crush Saga, which I never really got into Candy Crush. But then they mentioned a game that I have never heard about, but y'all being better in the game world than me and everything, y'all have probably heard about it. But it's a game that involves 4 digits, but it's a game called 2048.
2048.
Yep, 2048.
2048 is my jam.
What is 2048 for those that are watching? Because I have never heard of this game before now.
It is so addictive, and it's stupid simple. It's just 2, 4, 6, like 2, and well, it's just twos, and you slide them together, and then you make 4, and then you match the 4s together, and that's 8, 16, and 32. But you slide the whole thing slides back and forth, and you've got to make them merge together to make 2048.
Yep.
Wow.
It's super simple, but it's so hard.
You end up getting frustrated. I'm almost there. I'm not. No, watch the wrong way.
Man, but then you can't stop. Oh, it's so good. It's so bad. It's so good. Or it's so good. It's so bad. I'm not sure. It's one of those two.
And Jacoby, one of the other articles that that I stumbled across was actually about a brother, an African American gentleman who was very much involved in the video game industry, and that they said that an oft-forgotten pioneer in video game history was Jerry Lawson, the black engineer who helped kickstart the home games console. And apparently, he's being honored with an academic endowment at the University of Southern California, Los Angeles. So they've established the Gerald A. Lawson Endowment Fund for Black and Indigenous students, an initiative to increase minority representation in games and technology. Recipients will be known as Lawson Scholars. Take-Two Interactive Software, the maker of games such as Grand Theft Auto V and Red Dead Redemption, made what the company described as a very significant endowment to create the fund. So definitely they were involved in that. And I'm trying to see, he oversaw the creation of the Fairchild camera and the Instrument Corps' Channel F home video game system, the first to use interchangeable game cartridges. And there's a picture of him from Black Enterprise in the article that I'm looking at and everything. But they are saying that he was an engineer and designer at Fairchild Camera and Instrument Corporation in Silicon Valley. He led a team that created a game system using Fairchild's F8 microprocessor and storing games on cartridges. A lot of people in the industry swore that a microprocessor could be used in video games, and I knew better, Lawson said during a speech at the 2005 Classic Gaming Expo in San Francisco. And you can find that on YouTube when he made that particular speech and all of that. So looks like he's being honored big time for his work and pioneering work.
You know what? Universities of California and University of Southern California have really been doing a lot in the esports community, and I freaking love it. I love everything that they're getting into. They're really trying as an establishment, as an educational establishment, to really bring gaming into a legitimate economy. They're creating instructor courses and certificates, and they really are trying to legitimize this in the academia world, and that is a huge step towards that. You know what I mean? Building a scholarship fund for esports and for the accomplishments of color. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. I
Yep,
love that they're doing that unbidden. Nobody's forcing them. They're here for it. I love it.
just going for it. It says Take-Two previously established a game design scholarship program with New York University's Tisch School of the Arts in 2019. Among the organizations the company partners with are Black Girls Code, Games for Change, Girls Make Games, and Gay Gaming Professionals. And members on its game development team include Rockstar Games, 2K, Private Division, who regularly act as mentor to students of varying ages and programs. And one of the people involved with it said that um, were shocked that they've been doing marketing for 25 years and had never heard of Lawson. And the fact that a Black innovator started and helped form the commercial video game industry, I hadn't heard of him for him. So that's like when they decided they were going to do this whole thing
That's
around
so
his
awesome.
benefits and around all of his work that he had done in this industry and all of that. So that is truly amazing. And hopefully some folks from around the country will get that scholarship and take advantage of it. So like I said, I'm just glad that they were honoring that and everything. And last but not least, and then I'll get off my news kick, but apparently there is a baseball. I talked about baseball earlier because the baseball season has started. Um, Another article that came out, it looks like yesterday, was that Batter Up is esports is getting back into the baseball video games with a super mega baseball studio deal. So it looks like if you want to play baseball as a video game, they're getting back into it. So EA Sports has made an acquisition to get it back into baseball video games. So the sport game division of Electronic Arts is adding to its lineup Metalhead Software, a Victoria, British Columbia studio that makes Super Mega Baseball video games. So Super Mega Baseball 3 was released in March of 2020 and has an arcade look, but it's a really well-made game, according to the EA Sports Executive Vice President and General Manager Cam Weber. It's unique. It plays like a simulation under the hood. It's accessible and from the moment you pick up and play it, but it also has the depth to keep playing it a really long time. And it says one of the largest video game publishers in the U.S., EA posted revenues of $5.5 billion in fiscal year 2020. It's with Metalhead co-founder Scott Drader and Kristen Zuger, who started the company in 2009 and began last summer, according to Weber. So it looks like we've got Super Baseball, and there's going to be in that to Madden and FIFA and a couple of the other sports-oriented games in that regards.
So in terms of that,
Yes.
EA.
Good old fashioned EA.
Right? EA.
So Mark, just a little backstory here.
Yes, go ahead.
So EA has been having problems with their sports division in the first place for a while. The EA was one of the ones that got sued by part of the whole O'Bannon brothers deal or lawsuit because the dealing with the college basketball. They stopped making NCAA college basketball because of that whole situation.
Gotcha.
They also stopped making college football for, I think it was tied into that lawsuit or tangentially. It was because of that deal.
Yeah.
So EA is down to Madden because when Sega actually took off and dominated the basketball market with NBA, it was NBA Live, which was EA's product, that died. That died a silent death, and nobody really talked about it.
Yeah.
And then it tried to come back. It tried to come back a couple of years ago.
Yep, that's one of those ones people forgot it existed until they tried to bring it back. That's how quietly it died.
And the bad thing is they could have lived a great life making NBA Street. That did better than NBA Live. Same thing with NFL Street. NFL Street had a big following, but they just let that whole community go to waste. EA I forgot what their baseball game was, but EA's baseball was dying because MLB The Show, PlayStation's baseball game, was dominating the market. Everybody loves MLB The Show. And MLB The Show this year is going to every console. Well, the Xbox as well. I don't think it's going to. Well, actually, it will come to the Switch because the cloud gaming from the Xbox.
Well, I was going to say it's supposed to be cloud, right?
Yeah. So it's going to go to the Switch as well. So now you have the show really taking on the whole Major League market. EA trying to jump back into it is going to be tough.
And
yeah, they sound like they're trying to jump into a couple of tough ones because they said in the articles that I was thumbing through that not only are they trying to jump in back into baseball, but it also looked like they were trying to get into college football, and which I know has got to be tough because I'm imagining there's some other college football ones that are out there as well.
No.
And it was some other game that they were. Oh, and they were trying to get into the golf realm because they were trying to do a new PGA Tour game.
So again, they were the only one with a college sports, 2 college sports, basketball and football.
Right.
Once the O'Bannon case took off, that killed college basketball. That also then took out college football. Now it sounds like they're trying to bring college football back because that case came to fruition.
They said they announced plans to bring back their college football, and in March they revealed that a new PGA Tour game is in the works.
And they have to bring out a new PGA Tour because that was another game that they dominated the market with.
Yep.
But as soon as Tiger pulled out, that whole golf area, Tiger
EA
controls
has the
golf.
worst track record with sports games because that's what they do. That's the joke. That's why we were kind of giggling is EA's going to gobble up whatever freaking sports game it is and then run it into the ground for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's good. For some reason, and somehow EA will run it into the ground. And that's kind of the joke is like, great, now they've got another baseball one that they can kill. Great, I can't wait to watch it die. You know what I mean?
What's
because
even worse?
They had a lot of good games that they were the reason they died.
Yes, EA was its own worst enemy because as soon as one of the things that really hurt them I would consider one of the things that hurt them the worst was when they took on Battlefield or Star Wars Battlefield, and they decided to throw in every loot box cash grab they could think of.
They've done that to every one of their games. That's the reason. If you follow my Insta or my Facebook, you'll see the only memes I ever put about companies. It's always EA. There's a million memes about EA being a cash grab, being a money grab, running games into the ground, murdering good characters, just all kinds of just screwing everything up. It's a meme for a reason because they kill it.
When they bought, who was it? BioWare, I think it was, that they bought with Mass Effect and everything else.
No, BioShock?
No, yeah. Was it BioShock? No, BioMo?
Something like that.
I thought it was BioWare that had
Maybe
Mass Effect. But when they purchased them and then their next game that came out was Anthem?
I know. And everybody was so hyped for Anthem. They did such a good job.
I mean, the marketing was off the chain. It looked great.
Got in the game and was like, what the hell?
Yeah. And so
the other thing that the article talks about, and y'all can tell me what they mean by this, but apparently they're in their deal with Metalhead or whatever that organization is, they're leaving the possibility of licensing opening. So it sounds to me like part of their not being a good business partner is, I guess they're going to allow the sub partner to have the licensing because their vice president was kind of being evasive on the issue of licensing. Is the best way I can describe it.
They're so stupid.
Yeah. All I know is EA, just like Siren said, is going to run whatever they get right into the ground.
Whatever, even if it's good. Actually, probably if it's good. It's almost guaranteed if it's good.
Yep. And the funny thing is, Mark,
the licensing is that reminds me of the PGA thing. When Tiger pulled out, I feel like that's one of those things where they put all their eggs in someone else's money basket. It's in that Tiger's there, or that we have, the rights to this or rights to that. I feel like that's somewhere along those lines where they're leaving it open because they want them all and maybe they can't get them. Because EA is such a money grabber. They'll do that and then they'll nickel and dime you if you want to have, the Rockies. If you want to have the Rockies as your insignia, you have to buy it because they own the rights to it in that game.
Yeah.
And check this out, Mark. This is crazy. So their EA's biggest game right now, I would say, I mean, outside of Madden, because Madden is Madden. And even still, I think it's bigger than Madden because I think it has it does have a larger player base. Apex Legends. When they released Apex Legends, they had no mention of them being a part of Electronic Arts.
Oh, wow.
Wait.
So they didn't mention that
I
at
thought
all.
They were Epic. Wait.
No, Apex Legends is EA.
Oh, no way.
They had no mention of EA being a part of Apex Legends. That's how bad of a reputation EA has in the gamers
People
market.
won't play them. Yeah,
because you know you're gonna get robbed.
I had no idea they were EA.
Because you had Apex Legends is finally on. If I remember, it's on Steam and now on
Epic to load it. The Epic loader.
You had to go through Orion to start because Orion is where Apex Legends was. That's EA.
Oh, wow.
You have to be kidding me. I never knew that was EA.
When they came out, there was no mention of Electronic Arts.
Sneaky little turds.
Because nobody would have played it. Nobody.
Exactly.
That's why they kept it hidden. By the way, one of these publications is trying to step into our toes and do our work. They can't do it as good as we are, but apparently USA Today is creating a gaming community at USA Today, and they're accepting reader submissions because we want to talk about gaming as well. So it says the USA Today session, and apparently this was from a couple of weeks ago, looks to foster a conversation and community around gaming, its impact on people of different communities, and tips on how to enjoy your favorite games more. We're looking for broad appeal, player insight, new information, tips and tricks, first-person experience with a game, fresh text on games or gaming culture, or listicles of your favorite and least favorite gaming elements. They will only accept pieces that are submitted exclusively to USA Today on the topics of PC, console, phone gaming, or board gaming. So they're trying to break into the gamers' den. How dare they?
They can't break into the gamers' den.
That's right.
Welcome to the party.
And plus, we get much more detail than 750 words.
That's right.
I just noticed it's coming up past 210. Yeah, I just noticed that.
Having fun.
See, we've been playing this game for 2 hours now, Siren. You see all the stuff that you can get into. That's what I'm saying.
Awesome.
Have these kids jump in on this because what you'll end up, you'll have some kids with houses stretched out on a valley. You have some.
I'm excited to see the kids go Lord of the Flies.
They'll definitely be enjoying this game. They will be trying to figure out why they have chopped down about 150 trees and there's nothing in their bag. So, like I said, they may be trying to figure out that philosophical question as well.
Nice.
Oh, actually, somebody even pointed out. Here, I'll post this. He just jumped in real quick, pointing out about EA real quick. It's posting it. There we go. Yeah. Said you can play Apex Legends on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and Origin, and Steam for PC. Playing through Steam requires an electronic arts.
Oh gosh, it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah. That's wrong.
Yep. Electronic Arts.
That's terrible. They really buried that. That's so terrible.
Yep. Oh,
well, maybe that's why they stuck their article in USA Today since they were hoping to get some good publicity, and we just scoured them. So sorry
about that.
The first Electronic Arts lawsuit was from ESPN because when EA was starting with Madden and their NBA and everything, they had the Electronic Arts Sports Network. EASN.
No way. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was EASN because it was Electronic Arts because they were trying hard to do EA Sports, EA
Yeah.
Sports, and it was EA Sports Network, or I think it was Network at the end, if I remember. Yes, it was EA Sports Network, but they got told they couldn't do that because that was too close to ESPN.
Wow. I did not remember that. I wonder if they could do that now, though, because I feel like
Dude,
there's a lot more money in the esports.
nobody messes with the mouse.
Nobody
messes with the mouse.
ESPN got bought by Disney. Yeah, that's true. I ain't
Yeah.
messing with the mouse. You're right.
Shoot, when you have, what is it, 6 of the number one, or the 6 out of the top 10 grossing movies of all time.
Yeah, doesn't Disney own the world at this point? They own
Pretty
like
much.
ABC.
Well, Disney pretty
Star
much owns the
Wars.
world. But,
Yeah.
I know we're getting ready to get off, but this is another interesting article that you might find interesting, Toby. But it's an article from what magazine is this? Kansas, University of Kansas. But it says that participants in esports have recently become regarded as actual athletes. Now, other video game players are apparently aspiring historians. So that's one of the contentions of an article titled "Deep Play: Video Games and Historical Imaginary." Historians should take historical video games more seriously as a way of understanding how the public constructs its knowledge of the past, said author Andrew Denning, an associate professor of history at the University of Kansas. The article examines the role that video games have in shaping players' interest in history, World War II, for instance, which cultivates hyper specific, esoteric knowledge in areas they might normally be interested in. And this article appeared in the current issue of the American Historical Review. So video games become those flashpoints for discussion about politics. And we were having one of those earlier. He said they are a part of a much broader public engagement with history in which the appeal is less in understanding the past as it really occurred and more in knowing enough about the past to make the precise political points you want to make that day. He cites recent games such as Call of Duty, World War II, Wolfenstein, The New Order, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Red Dead Redemption 2 that are designed for entertainment, but also help inform people's perception of the eras in which they are set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we talked about earlier, the education side of video games. It's huge.
Yeah. And I also don't even think that's a tough one. I don't understand why, like, if you were spending all the time and the money to create a period piece video game, why you wouldn't make it historically accurate. I feel like that can't be that hard. There's got to be a local history teacher at your college, right?
True.
And as the old man in the crowd, I'm glad to know that one of the other articles from last month said that there is a woman that is out there that is roughly my same age and everything, in the 50s, who is apparently building her video game streaming reputation as the tactical grandma. So the 58-year-old has cultivated a following on platforms such as TikTok, posting highlights of her adventure in the first-person shooter Call of Duty Warzone, a free-to-play battle royale style video game for PCs and gaming consoles that has amassed a huge audience since launching March 2020. As of December, Warzone surpassed more than 85 million players, according to publisher Activision. And this woman, Statham, goes live on platforms such as Facebook Gaming and Twitch with his TikToks, where she's watched her popularity surge. As of Thursday morning, and this was like last month, her account boosted more than 570,000 followers. So this woman, Michelle Statham, known to her TikTok followers as the tactical grandma, poses in one of the photos with her grandkids and all of that. So apparently she really likes kicking backside in the video games, even though she's 58.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Interesting.
Sure.
Mark,
yes,
send me all those links so I can update the video with it. Siren, make sure you download BioShock and BioShock Infinite and Half-Life, because you got to play them.
Yep.
Also, while
watching Castlevania.
You gotta watch Castlevania. Good Lord, that's a great show.
Castlevania.
Such a great show. Oh, another one. Did you watch Invincible? That was on Amazon Prime. It's based off of a comic called Invincible. Watch that. It is so good.
Sounds familiar. Okay, I'm gonna watch that one too.
Such a good one. And we were talking about horror games, scary games earlier. Horror is always such a weird word to say.
Horrible word.
Yeah.
It's like horrible and horror. Those are terrible words.
Yeah.
But there's a game called We Went Back, and it's a free game. It's not free to play. It's actually just a free game. It's pretty cool to play. It's very the setting is neat. It's in space. It's kind of like the Alien Isolation, but once you see the bad guys, you're like, okay. But the suspense to get to the bad guys is what kills you. Like, okay, it's coming.
Those are so good.
So you got to try those. But I guess we should get off now because it is pretty late. And
it's pretty late. Folks got to get food. Folks got to do other things. You've probably got to go take care of either your kids and or your pup. So I'm sure that folks have got to do things. And of course, you got to get prepared for your first game in 5 days.
Yeah, that too. Oh, well. So I guess we have to do our closings now. So Siren, ladies first, take it away.
Okay. I am Siren from Cedo Gaming. We are an esports tournament coordination company. If you play Call of Duty and you're interested in making some free money, we are currently running free tournaments every Saturday, solos and duos alternating. $50 for first place winners, free entry. Just hang out. It's 2 hours of streaming. You can go to cedogaming.com for all of the information and registration. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or any of the other monsters on the Cedo Gaming staff.
Awesome. Mark, your turn.
Yeah, no problem. Definitely, if you're interested in even doing some events, or if you're interested in doing some consulting, that's actually why I bounced off earlier, because a friend of mine who was doing a podcast wanted to make sure that their sound was sounding all right. So they were doing it from Wisconsin, and yes, their sound did sound good. So I'll find out that it all went well. But if you want any consultant in that regard, or just consulting on events, or if you're just interested in having a lot of other fields within media and special events, you can reach me at Elite Entertainment 62 on most social media, be that Instagram, be that Twitter, be that Facebook, or a number of other places, or you can just hit me on regular email, which is bluesradio@gmail.com. So definitely that's the way that you can reach me on social media, and that's some of the things that I'm involved in. And of course, you can also catch some of the amazing interviews that I do right here on what is now called Pod TV, since apparently we've changed our name once again. So definitely, if you want to do that and you want to check it out and everything, I know that I had a great interview yesterday with a up-and-coming hip-hop artist out of Baltimore. So that was on the online dinner party, along with a gentleman that was talking about emotional health. And we've had some other great interviews, including one with a person that is a known person in that whole psychic field. So definitely it was great interviewing her about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I'm always talking to creatives, entrepreneurs, activists, and educators on the various shows that I do here on this network, as well as on my regular audio podcast, which is Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. So I'm turning it over to you, Jatovi.
Awesome. So now everybody make sure you follow both Siren and Mark. If you're able to follow me as well, that'd be awesome. At Bull City Gaming GG on Twitch, Bull City GG on Twitch, Bull City GG on Facebook, and BCG Esports on YouTube. I don't do the Esports Network because I'm not getting sued. And so I guess until next, in 2 weeks, we may have someone who is 17 and making movies. So I reached out to somebody. That'd be kind of cool in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have the folks involved in parenting and the video games next week.
That'd be fun.
That'll be awesome. I'm super excited about that.
So yeah, so we got a lot to look forward to. So we'll hopefully see everybody again next Thursday at 12 o'clock lunchtime. And hopefully by then we can figure out a way to say horror without looking like we stubbed our toe.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see if I can.
All right. So we'll see you guys next week.
You then.